Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch Transfer Roundup. It continues. It just continues. This is going to be longer than the previous one because, yes, it continues. This is going to be tons of Overwatch League outgoings. There's actually first Overwatch League incomer. I think that's the first. No, it's not the first. Is it the first? I can't remember. Honestly, I'm losing track of all of this. There's a tiny little bit of contenders, but apart from all this, this is just Overwatch League, Overwatch League, Overwatch League, Overwatch League. Right, let's get into this. First of all, we left off with Junkbuck last time, leaving the San Francisco Shock, so that's where we start off from this time. And to kick us off, we have a movement at the Seoul Dynasty. This is them letting go of their general manager, Hokuri, and he will no longer be assigned, moving to a free agent role. And interesting from Seoul Dynasty, considering the successful season they've had and how they've built really well, it is a weird move. Maybe it's the Seoul Dynasty trimming down their staff. I don't know. But yeah, interesting move from Seoul, that. Then we move over to Guangzhou Charge, who have let go of the Spanish support Neptuno and the Korean support Chara. This clearly suggests that Guangzhou Charge have got some replacements in mind. We've seen a lot of Shu and Chara recently, and both Neptuno is not a surprise leaving the Guangzhou Charge. We expected him to go. But Chara is a bit of a surprise. So they've got someone else in line, obviously. It'll be interesting to see who they pick up. Then over at the Chengdu Hunters, we see the leaving of the two Taiwanese players. So this is the Tank 18, who will no longer be assigned, and the DPS Bacon Jack. Bacon Jack will be retiring. So I wish Bacon Jack all the best for the future. Great mechanically, never quite found his foothold at the Chengdu Hunters, but I wish him all the best going forward. Then we have the continued movements at the Houston Outlaws. This is them letting go of assistant coach Hureg. Hureg used to be a player in the league, obviously with London Spitfire, then moved over to a coaching role at the Houston Outlaws. Now he will be leaving that team. Houston Outlaws obviously bringing in Junkbuck as co-head coach. It's going to be interesting to see what the Outlaws go with because they have made a lot of moves. They've let go of some very, very, very substantial parts of their player base. You know, when we talk about the likes of Jexer, Muma, Blase, Linksa, they've also let go of Meko, which is not actually on this list, but they did let go of Meko as well. And Meko, you would have thought, would have stayed at the Houston Outlaws considering his pedigree. So, major moves at the Houston Outlaws, and it's not going to look like the Houston Outlaws that was next season. But then we have more movements at the Guangzhou Charge, but this is the two-way between the Guangzhou Charge and Ultra Prime Academy, who were once called the One Winner. They've rebranded it to the Ultra Prime Academy. It's the academy team of the Guangzhou Charge in Chinese contenders. They're two-way players, so this is Weir, the Chinese support, and the Chinese DPS player Crystal. They will both be moving on and will no longer be assigned. This is weird. Reason saying, I'm not surprised at Weir, but Crystal. They have not long ago since picked up Crystal. So clearly this was a trial basis and it hasn't worked. That's all I can say, and they now want to move him on. That's all I'm saying about that. But just to nip over to North American contenders for a minute, Naga, the Danish DPS player, he'll be leaving Team Doge and joining up with the European contenders team, Obey Alliance. I wish him all the best for the future. Team Doge, keep an eye on that team. They're not currently competing in Korean NA contenders trials because they pulled out. They're going to have to compete in Open Division, and there is a rumour that a lot of their players are trying out for Overwatch League teams. So keep an eye on that. Obviously, Naga is not one of them. Then we move back to the Overwatch League with Los Angeles Gladiators. This is them letting go of OGE. So OGE, he can sometimes be hot and cold. I think he's a very momentum-based player. Great Winston. I expect him to probably pick up another Overwatch League team. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. But yeah, it's not entirely surprising with some of the moves that LA Gladiators are making. But I'll be interested to see who they'll be replacing him with. That is the one thing, because it's got to be a pretty good main tank if they're getting rid of OG. So they don't have a main tank on their books now, but they got rid of LH Cloudy as well. So yeah, I wonder whether a lot of these rosters might be smaller than they were last year. That's something else to think about. Then we have another movement at the San Francisco Shock. This is them letting go of another assistant coach. This is Arachne. And yeah, why? That is the question that is on my brain right now. It does seem odd that the San Francisco Shock are getting rid of assistant coaches. First Junkbuck, now Arachne, and he hasn't got another team right now. Junkbuck obviously over at the Houston Outlaws now, but weird. That's all I can say about that. And it does leave the Shock a little bit short in terms of their coaching staff, which it's very early. It's very early. I want to see if they bring in new people. And to be quite honest, one of the only people left now would be Krusty. And Krusty, you know, major part of the Shock. So if they lose him, it changes the whole complexity of what San Francisco Shock's offseason is going to look like. But yeah, I don't expect them to. But keep an eye on it. Then we have movement at London Spitfire. This we have already covered in another video. This is the general manager Nuki, the German general manager of the British Hurricane. She will be moving up to become general manager of the London Spitfire. It's actually a split role. She's currently general manager of both London Spitfire and British Hurricane. They are going to be very closely, tightly knit, those two teams now, with this complete rebuild and change in ethos of how London Spitfire and Hurricane are run. And she will be leading the charge for that. It'll be interesting to see how London do, and it'll be interesting to see if this whole rumours of the Hurricane roster being promoted goes through as well. The way Nuki was talking in the London video, it sounds very much like it will. Then we have a British DPS player, Ellie. This is in the EU Contenders division. I don't know why I've got Korean contenders on my mind, but I have. He is leaving Ad Astra per Aspera and will no longer be assigned. I wish them all the best for the future. You never know, Hurricane might pick your... I keep saying Hurricane. Maybe Hurricane will pick them up because, you know, Hurricane's roster might be going somewhere, but who knows. Then we're back at Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel. It's been a brutal one. It's a brutal one in Houston, in Texas right now. There's a lot of axes being ground. So this is Dallas letting go of Closer, Crimzo, Paintbrush, Note, and Onigod. Onigod, most recent signing for the Dallas Fuel. Paintbrush had a decent season, so did Crimzo. Closer we didn't see too much of. Note is a decent off-tank. And the unfortunate thing for Note is he was dropped on his birthday. So, no love lost at the Dallas Fuel. And there was no individual thank you very much, you know, and really heartfelt message. It was just an all together once they let them all go, hey, bye guys. You know, pretty brutal this off-season. Pretty brutal. Dallas Fuel... There's only, I mean, they're coming up again in a minute, but this is going to be a different team. Next year, Dallas Fuel is going to be an entirely different beast. And it'll be interesting to see if they finally realize some of that long yearned for potential that the Dallas fans have wanted. But then we have a change at the Los Angeles Gladiators. This is the assistant coach, Foster's leaving. He will no longer be assigned and will be looking for a team. Again, changes going on at Gladiators. Again, there's so many teams with so many changes. And we hop over to Vancouver Titans right now. They're letting go of 3 players as of right now. This is the support Kaka, the tank player KSA, and the DPS player Suna. Suna kind of lost his place to Shockwave, so it's not entirely surprising. Whether this is, I mean, they will need to sign a main support, but whether this is Vancouver Titans perhaps slimming down a roster, I don't know. But it does indicate a want for the Vancouver Titans to stay Western. They're not going to go perhaps back to a Korean roster like they were previously, obviously the old runaway roster. They're not going to try and go back to that and move over to Korea, which is an option. But, yeah. Suna was good in Contenders, but it hasn't really shown up. KSA isn't too bad. Kaka never set the world alight, in my opinion. Then we move over to Valiant. Valiant with some interesting moves. So Apply is gone. Again, we didn't see Apply. The only time we saw Apply this season was when he was actually forced onto Brig when they had some problems with their support line last year, I believe. So he was forced onto Brig. It looked really odd, and yeah, but we haven't seen Apply on his actual DPS comfort picks. So no surprise he's gone. Gig, the main tank, is gone. Well, he was understudy to Dreamer, so I'm not too surprised about that. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get replaced, to be quite honest. I think they'll just shorten that down to just having Dreamer as the main tank. But the interesting one is McGravy, the off-tank, is leaving. Now, McGravy has been the mainstay off-tank for the Los Angeles Valiant. That is a weird one. And McGravy, obviously, he's been in the news a lot as well for the Overwatch League and stuff like that. He's been a face of the Overwatch League in some respects. And yeah, he's been let go. He's a decent off-tank as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone does pick him up. But who are they going to replace him with is going to be an interesting one. Again, is this a move to perhaps go more Korean? Possibly. Maybe the Valiant pick up Meko. Maybe it's going to be Meko and Dreamer. I could see that. I don't know what the Valiant have planned, but clearly there's something. Then we have another movement at the Dallas Fuel. This is the tank player, the Australian tank player Trill. He's leaving and retiring. Trill will be going to Valorant. There is a lot of problems in the Dallas backroom. We've heard rumours about basically all of the subs just spending the whole day playing Valorant and not playing Overwatch. There's scrims that apparently was basically, you know, it was a starting 6 and that was it. The rest of them weren't doing anything. If that's the case, then they need to just be gotten rid of. Trill is one of those. He's gone. Simple as that. Good moves from the Dallas Fuel. If they don't want to play Overwatch, get them out. We don't want to be wasting their money. So, moving on, we have a movement out of Atlanta Reign. We haven't talked about Atlanta Reign yet, but they have let go of the support player Fire. He will no longer be assigned. Again, we haven't seen too much of Fire for the Atlanta Reign. He was a recent signing, didn't really show up too much. Will they replace him with someone? There aren't many American main supports, and maybe Aspen from Team Doge is a possibility. It's someone I've highlighted that possibly could go to Atlanta Reign, maybe one of the either Toronto or Vancouver, or on an off chance British Hurricane. I did it again, British Hurricane. London Spitfire is what I'm trying to say. I think Aspen may have a shot at the league this year. It depends on what teams are doing, but yeah. I'm not surprised Fire is gone for Atlanta Reign. Then we have another movement at London Spitfire. This is them letting go of the main tank J-Mac. He will no longer be assigned. J-Mac did not set the world alight during this Overwatch League season. I think we can all agree. He did look like a weak link for this London Spitfire side. This London Spitfire side is moving to an all-European roster. I think we can pretty much say that now. And we expect the rest of them to be going in due course, but J-Mac is the first of the remainers to go. Now, let's just take a break from the Overwatch League for a minute. Let's go over to China. This is obviously more movements with Ultra Prime Academy, the academy team of the Guangzhou Charge. This is them letting go of 2 people. This is the 2 tanks, the Chinese tank Baji and the Korean tank Maggie. They will no longer be assigned. Then they're bringing in 3 Chinese players on trial. This is the 2 DPS players, Don't Love Me and Bebe. Not Bebe, the Hangzhou Spark player. We'll talk about him in a minute. Bebe as in B-A-E, B-A-E. And then the tank player Estrella. They will all be coming in. And then we have a trial on the support role for this team as well, Ultra Prime Academy. It'll be someone from Kratos. It is the Canadian support player 6 feet. And he will be on trial at Ultra Prime Academy as well. But now we move back to the Overwatch League, back to Dallas Fuel. And it is the rest of the Dallas Fuel, apart from Doha. So Doha has had his contract renewed. He is the only Dallas Fuel player to have had his contract renewed. So good news for him. But this is Gamsu leaving Dallas Fuel. He will be retiring and he will be moving to League of Legends to pursue a career in that. I wish Gamsu all the luck with League of Legends. Good luck to him. And it is, I think, the only player I've ever said retiring for League of Legends out of Overwatch. But I think Gamsu has a history in League of Legends. I wish him all the best. This is accompanied by the French DPS player AKM. We all know about AKM and the AKM Blades. We have not seen AKM in 2020. It is not a surprise to us that he is leaving. AKM is going to Valorant. What a surprise. It's not a surprise that there's a few Fuel players going over to Valorant. So this is both Trill and AKM going to Valorant. It's not a surprise. Dallas Fuel just needed to clear out. That's exactly what they've done. Then we have just a move outside of the Overwatch League. This is at Delta Phoenix. This is them letting go of the Swedish DPS player Cage, and I wish him all the best for the future. But moving back finally to the Overwatch League for our final movements. This is all at the Hangzhou Spark. This is a big clear out at the Spark. So this is them letting go of the support player Bebe, who has had actually a mainstay place in the Spark team this season. So they'll be looking for a flex support, which is going to be very, very interesting. And I'm very interested in who the Hangzhou Spark pick up to fill that role. It's going to be very, very interesting, that one. They're also letting go of their 2 backup tank players. This is Rhea and Sassin. They will both be leaving. Not too much of a surprise. They have Gushui and QOQ. QOQ is going to be the main off tank now. Gushui is uncontested on that main tank role. And they will be the mainstays for Hangzhou Spark. That's what I'm expecting anyway. And then we have the 2 DPS players, Ado and Adora, leaving the Hangzhou Spark. Again, not too much of a surprise. But I believe Hangzhou Spark, and this is the team that has screamed it to me so much at the moment. This is going to be the team that really indicates which way the league is going for 2021. Because all but one of those players that they've let go, in fact, in some respects you could say all of them, were not needed. Because during the end of the season, they are actually playing Mika over Bebe anyway. It was Mika and IDK, I think. Or was it Mika and Bebe? I might be wrong. But again, they have kept their main tank line. Their main DPS this season have been Architect and Godspeed, especially towards the end when they signed Architect. So, is this the Hangzhou Spark having a clear out and they're going to bring in a load of other talent to replace it? Or is this Hangzhou Spark having a clear out and just making the roster smaller? Now that is the question that begs to be answered for this coming Overwatch League season in 2020, whether that be February or April, whether that be Overwatch 2 or Overwatch 1. We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns right now. But what we do also know is there are plans for off-season tournaments to keep people interested, which suggests to me that the pause between Overwatch League seasons is going to take longer. And yeah, so there's stuff to be thinking about there. But this is the tester team. This is the team that really has got me thinking right now. Are they making their roster smaller, or are they just clearing out and bringing in new stuff? That is what we need to know from the Hangzhou Spark. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is just them making the roster smaller. So, yeah, that's the note I'm going to leave this video on. I wish all the players best of luck trying to find new teams. And, yeah, I'm sure there'll be another one of these soon. A quick note is the free signing window is opening very, very soon. I believe it is the 23rd of October, and when the free signing window opens. That is end of next week. When that opens, things start to get crazy because that means signings can come in. We will most likely be done with a lot of the outgoings in terms of just looking for team, and then we will look at people coming into teams, and that is when things get super duper interesting. We might have to wait a little while for it really to set alight. It wouldn't surprise me, but it is going to be very interesting. And then we also get the team between team transfers as well. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.